Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I think today's Tuesday. Welcome back, everybody, to our Natural Health News live show every morning at 9 a.m. So I'm grateful to have you join me today. And today's discussion, there's a lot of potentially very impactful new news, new data that will hopefully have some life-changing impact on all of us. But most importantly, I want to share it with you first. I don't think you're going to hear it a whole lot this morning or even potentially later today, but definitely by the end of the week, the news and the details are going to be coming out even more so. So welcome, everybody. Hi, Wendy on YouTube. Please give me a thumbs up. Hit the share button. For all of you on Instagram, I was so grateful. I had a viewer yesterday who did a snapshot and shared my feed on her Instagram story. So I was grateful for that. And we picked up some new viewers. So welcome, everybody. For all of you new and joining, I'm Dr. Melissa Gallagher. I'm a naturopathic physician. And today is, I think, our 16th live show. I started this about 2.5 weeks, just about 2.5 weeks ago, after we had to cancel our wedding. And just kind of recalibrated and thought there's a lot of other folks out there in kind of the same situation of trying to figure out how do we be healthy and safe during this really crazy, perilous time. And that's really what today's topic is about, is keeping you safe. And I'm going to discuss some ways to do that. Many of it, for our regular viewers, you might be hearing me highlight some additional pieces over and over again, and that totally is okay. Every day we have new viewers, and we actually have new subscribers and new followers. So if you are new, hit the subscribe or follow button. And I welcome you to our natural health community here, because we are a community and we might all be staying at home and or in some sort of quarantine mode here in the US, but also we have a very large international community. So we join several billion individuals who are in a lockdown mode. So welcome. We have Florida on, and Anita is driving through New York and on your way to Massachusetts. Wow. You have to tell us what all is going on there. So Anita is our resident truck driver. Towards last week, later in the week, she was out in Colorado and Utah and Nebraska. Now she's up in New York and heading to Massachusetts. So what are you delivering today, Anita? So for all of you joining, please give me the thumbs up and like and share. So let's kind of dig into where we're at. We are here in the US, we're at 164,000 cases. New York has just mushroom exploded into just under 70,000 cases. So they're at 68,000 and they had 1,200, they're at 1,244 deaths. It's pretty crazy. They're setting up a lot of field hospitals, and the Comfort, the Army or the Naval hospital ship that arrived. And so that's going to take patients that are in normal beds out of the hospital setting in some of the major, like I think Bellevue is one of the major hospitals that's hit. Despite what was said, I honestly don't think our healthcare providers steal any type of equipment. In fact, there is a story in Minnesota where there was a cardiologist, apparently she was speeding and was pulled over by a state trooper. And she, I don't know if she told him what he did or what she did, but he saw in her purse, I guess when she was getting out her ID and registration and insurance stuff, he saw 2 N95 masks. And I think that prompted the conversation. She said, I'm cardiologist on the ICU ward in Duluth, Minnesota. And he came back, he was like, okay, I'll be right back to write her up a ticket. So he went back and apparently grabbed 5 of his own N95 masks, gave those to her, thanked her for her service, and told her not to speed. So I love those happy stories. But today, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about our masks, our facial protection, because we're seeing numbers increasing. New York is in the kind of war zone right now, but quickly coming up to that. New Jersey is at 16.6 thousand. Massachusetts is almost at 6,000. So they're, and Michigan's at 6,400, almost 6,500. Florida's at 5,700. Georgia is at 3,000. But Georgia, Atlanta has been rocked. And the one hospital that we had taken Brian to when he had his ITP craziness at that location, they are in full explosion mode. Like they have patients in hallways. And this we're hearing from some of these epicenters, and they're city centers. There are more dense populations that we're seeing to be a trend. So if you live in a denser population or in cities or commuting or working in a public setting, this video is going to be very impactful for you because you'll want to take notes, write down some of the tips and recommendations that can help equip you to be healthy and will maximize your safety in a public setting or if you're out and about. So I also want to let you know that our neighborhood yard guys, our neighbors' yard guys are here, and they usually get here a little earlier, but they've delayed, and you might hear a lot of yard noises. So I apologize for everybody. So first I want to say hi to everybody. Welcome. Hello, Dika. And we've got Kim. Hi, Kim. And Shinyeri Okoi. I hope I said that right. Hi, good morning, Felicia. Still no results. Felicia's husband's waiting on COVID-19 results. Ooh, I said it. I'm going to get dinged on YouTube. So basically, YouTube's censoring all content as it relates to any type of educational matter. So Jin J, so regular people can't wear N95 masks. That's actually not true, but they're really hard to find. And we'll discuss some options here. Amanda's from the UK, Angie from Cincinnati. Let's see, Sylvia, welcome and unsubscribe. I really don't care. I'm going to speak truth. I'm going to speak statistics, data, science. And I'm on that side of the reality of information. And so I'm not a political leaning channel, but the reality is we've got some politics wrapped up in this that's making people unsafe. And that's just a reality, regardless of your side. So, but you're welcome to unsubscribe. I don't care. I'm here to help all of you viewers who follow me, help you be safe and well, and you can take it how you want to take it. So Lisette, I see a lot of Floridians here. Yes, Terry's in South Florida, Jay's in Connecticut. Whitney, hey Whitney. Pat, good morning. And Melinda's over in Texas. Oh, Anita, yay. Anita's delivering supplies to a senior center. That's fantastic. Charismatic is in South Carolina. We've got Illinois, Rachel, and we've got a lot of folks. So welcome everybody. All right. I want to dig into some news. Okay. So the first tidbit of news that the Boston Herald released, the Boston healthcare system has been really rocked by cases within the healthcare community. And I reported a week ago or so, they identified in Massachusetts that there were super spreaders at this one biotech conference in Cambridge. And then that prompted a lot of cases to the main, there are a lot of hospitals in Boston, but the main one that would be like the kind of trauma related center is Boston General. And there are now, over the weekend, it was 160 cases, medical professionals that had the virus. Now they're at 342. And that's pretty phenomenal. And part of it is they're reusing masks, the safety measures. We've had to set a lot of that aside because they just are not getting the equipment they need. And also there's more information. So this is what I want to share today. And this is, I think, going to be most impactful. So, Boston's an epicenter of just a lot of intelligent individuals, a lot of schools like Harvard and MIT, BU, Boston College, and a lot of the private schools up there. There are a lot of clearinghouses of research centers. The MIT, the latest research is coming out of MIT. There's a professor out of MIT who has a lab, and it's called the Fluid Dynamics of Disease Transmission Lab. And she's done a lot of research about the kind of respiratory carry of droplets and viruses. So when there are airborne diseases or there's any type of they call them virions, I think is the name of it, but they're like little viruses on little water droplets that we don't see. We see that when it's cold air and you see yourself breathing. Well, she measures that. And the latest, this just came out. This is the research. It's in the Journal of American Medical, the JAMA Journal of American Journal. I think it's the Journal of American Medical Association, or for the Medical Association. But this was literally published, it was published Thursday. I just got wind of it yesterday. And they do this testing of the expiration. So when somebody breathes out or coughs, the measurement of how far those particles go. Okay, so that's the latest study that we have out. And she makes correlations specifically to the virus we're dealing with. Okay. What the goal was to identify a way for policies to be put in place, particularly in the healthcare world. So, them seeing and hearing, Mass General and some of the other facilities up in Massachusetts having such an increase. And we saw this in New York. We still see it. Minimum 25% of healthcare professionals across the world who are caring for professional or patients, they catch the virus. And so it was about how can we help minimize or mitigate and limit that exposure. And so identifying the transmission is really key. So that's the premise of this. So she goes into respiratory emissions. That's what it's called, an emission of cough or sneeze. And what this study finds is that it says, given various conditions of an individual patient's physiology and environmental conditions, such as humidity and temperature, the gas cloud and its payload of pathogen-bearing droplets of all sizes. So they even measure like big droplets that would have gravitational pull and would go down faster than smaller ones. The range, so it's payload of pathogen-bearing droplets of all sizes. They can travel between 23 and 27 feet. That social distancing of 6 feet, that doesn't even cover it. I mean, that is pretty significant. So, you take that and, it says, importantly, the range of all droplets, large and small, is extended through their interaction with and trapping within the turbulent gas cloud. And she says, throughout the trajectory, droplets of all sizes settle out or evaporate at rates that depend not only on their size, but also on the degree of turbulence and the speed of the gas cloud. So, airflow, humidity, temperature, those all factor into speed. And then also the person's, if you have restricted airway, your cough might not be as explosive of an emission. So that's one thing. This couples up, friends, with the research that I reported yesterday, where they had, Nebraska had released research where they assessed droplets and transmission of the virions, the viral particles that are on the little liquid droplets. They looked at 13 patient rooms and they identified that it was everywhere. I mean, it was on the ceilings, it was in the bathroom, it was on, top of the mirrors, fixtures, it was on everything. Well, this makes sense. This is the emission, the gas cloud. And with that come different sizes of these droplets carrying the viruses. So that's huge. And I've posted this link. So if you guys want to grab this right now, you can, it's listed in online JAMA. And JAMA is really kind of the gold standard of research. And I think it's very important to note that this is actually being reviewed by the World Health Organization right now. And because of it, the CDC has listed and announced that they are considering encouraging or recommending individuals to wear face masks, everybody. So I say this because there's several things going on under the surface. We have Amazon workers, the folks in the warehouses. Instacart's part of the Amazon world. And we're also seeing it was Amazon, Instacart, And one other element, he has a lot of businesses, but what they're on strike because I've reported this several times. We're seeing different Amazon workers get sick, and they're not being protected. They're not being asked or given masks, and so that's a huge factor when we think about not just for like our packages. We know the viral load. The survival rate on cardboard is 24 hours. So it's going to be easy for us to clean, our boxes. And if we have, items that have plastic covering, you want to clean that because that has a longer lifespan. So there could be potential droplets that get exposed that, end up going out the door. But most importantly, those workers are concerned for their safety. And, the Instacart and the delivery, it was fresh delivery or whatever the fresh market delivery mechanism that they're hiring more people for that will deliver the fresh pantry items to our doors now versus shipping it. Those individuals all came together and they're not everybody, but there's concern for the workers and their safety. So all of today's discussion, this particular JAMA article about the emission, the respiratory emission and how long it goes, 27 feet is a long space. So you might have, and I've been reading the threads, and I tried Shipt yesterday with Target, and it was a total disaster. And the individual who was shopping for me, I didn't see her, but I know that she had to linger at the store for a little while. The transaction had a little, I don't know, something happened. She had to get on the phone. But she said, even before she started shopping, she said things are taking longer, and partly because they're allowing a certain quantity of people in. But then she said there's backups at the shopping, like the checkout. So, that's problematic when you think about, you're out. If you choose to go out, which you shouldn't, okay? I hope this drills this down. If if you need stuff from Lowe's or Home Depot, because we're all home and a lot of us are coming up with all sorts of honey-do lists and things to do at home, you can order all that stuff online. So that is really, I want you to think about just a different shift of how we get our items that we need. So minimizing our exposure goes beyond just 6 feet. And it's proven by this fluid dynamics of disease transmission lab. That professor, she works at MIT. This lab is at MIT. This is what they've identified is up to anywhere between 23 and 27 feet. All particle sizes, big and small, with a whole assortment of variables. They looked at the variables of speed. They looked at the variables of the ambient environment, temperature, humidity, and airflow. So this is substantial. And I think this is also going to push us forward in keeping us healthier and safer so that we minimize some of the spread. The gas cloud, she also said it's not just about like sneezing and coughing. And, the other day, if you guys didn't watch it, I hope you will. I have a whole playlist here of our lives, but I talked about the different symptoms and the differences. So like, for instance, sneezing it's not a symptom of the virus. It's common with allergies and the cold, but dry cough is extremely common. Shortness of breath is common. So it might not be a sneeze, but it might be a cough. And a lot of times people say, the recommendation is to cough into your elbow. They actually analyze that. So, this is a very thorough, it's 2 pages, but it's a fascinating read. And the thoroughness of this, they factored into every scenario. And this is beyond just like that testing that I reported about the surface. This is real world. They took in temperature, humidity, airflow. They took in droplet sizes based on a cough into an elbow. And they said there's still transmission and an emission of large and small particles in that type of cough. They also said that saliva, snot, and spit were other transmission points. And those were things that had all different variables as well, with the size, the weight, and then that kind of, a snot is goo. It's our own body and germs. And there's a different viral load on that type of particle, or, pathogenic bearing droplets. And so they went really, really deep. So I'm going to encourage you to check that out, print it. So I listed for you the JAMA online article. If you want to print it out, there's a PDF button, and that's how I printed this out. But you can send that to your friends and family. And at this point, I feel like we have some friends and family that are not on board with staying safe. Or they're getting to that 2.5 week mark and they're getting antsy. And particularly here in our area, the northern suburbs of Georgia, people are acting like it's status quo, like there's nothing wrong with it. So, story is, Ryan talked to his parents over the weekend, and they decided to go for a drive. They went to a park, totally safe. And then they decided they needed bird seed. And so they, like myself, we have a whole bunch of feeders and with beautiful birds. They put up a bluebird box last year, and they came back and they're nesting. So it's a wonderful hobby. But they decided they were going to go to Lowe's. Well, the report was Brian's mom stayed in the car, thankfully, because they're both at risk, just like a lot of individuals with underlying health concerns. Brian's dad said he went in and there were no carts available because it was that busy. Like the whole entire shopping center parking lot was filled to the brim, nobody taking it seriously. And just very, very, very frustrating hearing that, because think now we know, one, we're not testing well enough. And this is just not in Georgia, this is everywhere, Florida, Michigan. There was one state, I think it's not Ohio, but one of the states out west, I want to say Montana, is like a day or two of running out of testing supplies. Like if you can't test, you don't know who has it, and you can't even do tracing where you identify who those people have gone into contact with. You can't even do the quarantine of folks that have it to protect them. So this is really, really important that we identify this, but we also educate the people in our lives. That's how we can do this. We can have a major impact on a small quantity of people who then can get on it with awareness. And so Sasha says, it's crazy. People still think it's a joke. Part of it is the news. There are certain news stations that are completely downplaying this. The governors are, the lieutenant governor in Texas basically said last week that, older people were willing to take a hit just to keep the economy well. Well, I tell you what, any of my, a lot of my older family members have passed, but I'm not willing to sacrifice them for the greater good of our economy to keep people working. And I don't know a lot of families that would be willing to sacrifice grandma or grandpa or a great aunt or great uncle. I think that's just crazy that that's put out there. Okay, so troll alert. Okay, yeah, let me go ahead and block. Hide. I'm going to report. Sorry, I got some trollers. Got to report. Okay, let's see. Okay. All right. So Instacart was a nightmare. The whole thing. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I have to say, our Shipt, I should have brought it. Our Shipt was, gosh, she was doing this order for like 4 hours. I felt bad for her because I'm like, I know economically, and I kept apologizing. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, do you just want my credit card? Like, process it at the checkout. And she's like, she was really sweet. She said, I'm just doing this because I'm bored at home. And, I'm not around older people or kids. And I just want to help people. And that was really sweet. And she actually wrote us a thank you note. Her name was Tiffany. So sweet. So my whole thing is I'm concerned about Tiffany and all the Tiffany's out there shopping for us. Because it's really, really important that we wear protective gear when we're in a work setting. And so for like Anita, she said she's wearing a bandana. She also said she saw a guy on YouTube use his boxers. So let's dig into it. Okay. So one of the things that I think is really, really key. And I've posted down below. There are a bunch of resources for you to protect your nose and your mouth. So the major points of transmission are going to be your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. So I've talked a little bit about, like I did one whole live about safety. This will be safety, but also minimizing the virus. So I've got some liquid herbals that will be really powerful that you want to take. Some other things to involve in this whole process to keep you safe. So it literally is this kind of step process. But essentially, like this is something I had from when I redid Gabriel's toy room, and I painted with metallic chalk paint, like the magnetized chalk paint. Okay, so it was really toxic. I had all three of our major UV air filtration things going. And this was just a mask I got at the hardware store and use. And so this top goes over it and you can pinch it so you can seal it. That's one of the most important things. There are a lot of wonderful people actively making masks, but not all of them are going to be safe. If you are trying to use them because you're in a healthcare setting or you have an intense amount of public exposure, because again, 27 feet of a respiratory emission, it can creep in if you've got holes. And I was on Etsy last night and I'm working out getting the right links for you because the stores, they're just, I've had stuff in my cart and it just goes away. So I'm going to reach out to several of these makers. But one of the things that you need is you need to be sure to be able to have something that pinches in or locks down and almost seals that nasal passage. Then you also need something that's going to go down below the chin. Okay, so is this helpful? I hope, and can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if this is helpful. For YouTube, I've got my mic on, but Instagram, I'm hoping you can hear me. So just be cognizant of what items you're going to buy. Now, we had somebody ask, are everyday people able to buy N95 masks? Yes, but I'll tell you, I ordered mine. I've ordered one for myself, one for Brian, and then there was like a 4-pack for Gabriel. I ordered these 4 weeks ago. They still have not arrived. Okay, so I'm not going to play around with waiting. I've got some alternatives coming. And this is just this is this material. Sorry, I feel like it's a little gunky because it had been outside. But now this is the mask that I have in my car. Like I had to get gas, or I didn't have to, but I decided in our driving around and Gabriel took a nap, I got gas and I put this on, did my whole thing. But if you had to go to the grocery store, I would make sure that you wear a mask and that your mask just doesn't cover your mouth, that it covers your nose too, because we're inhaling. I mean, you have to think about this respiratory emission cloud, this gas cloud of virus particles we're inhaling. Okay, so that, this goes over the head and it's tight. Now, some of the ones, they will have the ear loop. You just want to make sure that it is tight enough. Like you can see, like if I wore this for a long time, because my skin tends to be real sensitive, I'd have a mark, but it's a good solid seal. And this is pinched in. And I feel like this is a good protective gear. There are now individuals making masks out of the material. And I think, yes, I posted for YouTube, if you are a sewer, somebody who, you've got a lot of time, you have a sewing machine, know how to do that, you can make your own masks. There was Deaconess Hospital. They put out a CDC approved guide, and they basically walk you through steps of if you want to make a child size or adult size, and then what all materials you need, how to make it. The ones that I think are going to be most impactful, and I'm telling you all this because you're going to be on the beginning of this cusp. I literally saw a price change from some of the vendors last night I was looking at it. They doubled in price because the demand, when the CDC says we're going to encourage everybody to wear masks, it's going to be like the toilet paper situation. And I'm not saying that to cause fear. I want you to be equipped with the resources that you need to protect yourself in the event that you have to go out. The other thing is you might have to, like for us, we're not shopping, we're not going out. Brian's working from home, I'm working from home. The biggest pathogen we experience is seriously pollen right now. And it is so bad. We were out back and Brian and Gabriel built a dirt track for their little remote control car. It's actually cute. I'll have to post some pictures on Instagram if you guys want to see. It's pretty ingenious. It literally goes around in dirt and they've got like ramps, jump ramps. They did this around his play set, his swing set. But we're out and back and it's supposed to rain today, but there is yellow dust everywhere. Our yard, our black asphalt outside is yellow. That's the pathogen we're experiencing. And to be honest with you, I have felt like I've had a little bit of the fluid that happens to me with allergies. I'll be wearing this. I'll be wearing the masks that I've ordered outside because these are great for dust, allergens. So if allergies are problematic, you're not just going to spend money to just equip you in the event that you need to go out and about, but you can use this for everyday use, especially during allergy season. And for us here in Georgia, it's pretty bad. So I'm going to encourage you to just think about that. Like there are other uses, and especially like the ones that people are making. So going back to you can sew, there's a pattern. I've included the PDF. There's a download on YouTube in the description box. You can make your own, but they allow for an insert. The insert is you can add a filter. That's where I think if you are going to invest some money, you want to buy some masks that you'd simply wash the outside, so have 3 to 5, how many ever you need if you're really in the public setting or if you're a shopper or, in customer service. I have friends from high school back in Florida that are still, the banks are open and they're still working with people coming in. And she's been sewing these things and giving them out to all of her bank teller friends and the customer service people. The insert's key. The insert has a filter and it's a 5-layer carbon filter. It basically is it's not an N95. It doesn't really set it, N95, that term, there's N95 and N99. That basically minimizes what's coming out and what's going in. What's going in, with the 5 layers, there's filtration, there's a carbon filter. Somebody on that show, the live show where I talked about the beginning of how to make your own DIY protection gear, like this type of stuff. Somebody had said, oh, you could go to, or not go to, you could order from your, PetSmart, the fish filters. You could do that, but there's different layers of the carbon filtration and filter material. So you can order those separately. And I'm going to get some links. I didn't get all my links, but I'll make sure that today I get you all those links on the YouTube. But I want you to think about that. When you are buying a mask, the masks that are going to be most beneficial because of this emission of the droplets and the virus. We know there's different sizes, and they said there's a lot of saliva. I mean, they've calculated saliva, snot, and spit come out of that. Well, 1 layer is not enough. Spit could infiltrate this material, and you're inhaling now these particles. So this protective wear is going to be very helpful, and it's going to encourage greater safety for you and your family. And if you have any kids or any, senior family members, we've bought some extra. I bought a few extra for Brian and Brian's parents. I bought an extra for my older cousin who's in Minnesota, who's in an assisted living facility, and they're basically on lockdown. And she did say they've given her masks, but they've given her those little hospital, the blue mask. That doesn't, we're beyond that. That does not cover this. And because of that, we've got, hospital professionals that, we're seeing 342 cases up in Massachusetts. The 27 feet that this gas emission from a cough, a sneeze, it spreads that out. The other thing too, again, not a lot of people are talking about, but eyewear. So you want to, invest in eyewear that directly will protect you. You can, if you wanted to get a seal, you can do goggles. Swim goggles are enough to protect you. So those are really cheap and you can get those. Those are not going out of supply. So you could get goggles, but that would be the most if you could seal your eyes. Then the other thing is hair nets. So we're seeing some images of healthcare professionals not wearing hair nets because the hair protection, they're out. They don't have those. But I know Anita said she had a bandana, but you could put some covering over your hair. And then when you get home, you want to make sure you disrobe all that stuff, wash your items, and then run upstairs and take a hot shower. And the key is cleaning all that stuff off your hair, because we know the emission, these droplets move 20, they expel out of a single person's nose or mouth 23 to 27 feet. That's what's been proven in this JAMA article by the MIT professor who runs the Fluid Dynamics of Disease Transmission Lab. This just released art in the links down below. This article highlights it. It's everywhere. And our hair, we need to protect our hair, because you might be running from store to store and you might even be replacing your mask and you're cleaning your hands. What's going on with your hair? And then you think about it. How many times do we touch our hair? And maybe we touch either something else, so we're passing transmission. It doesn't need to be a big or small particle size. It has to be the viral load. And we do see that there's a viral load on big and small. So it's food for thought. I think it's something I want to just put that out there, just to be really cognizant of. We also have body surfaces, and hair is a body surface. I have yet to see any article that's highlighted, how many droplets and what is going on with the hair. They kind of pathologied the hair and the particles. That hasn't come out yet. And I didn't see any of that in any bit of this article. But this was meant to have the CDC understand. So they said there is a need to understand the biophysics of host-to-host respiratory disease transmission in the physiology, the pathogenesis, and epidemiological spread of the disease. So they talk about the rapid spread, the transmission routes need to be identified. So I think this is pretty phenomenal in terms of a good reading, and also to highlight to friends and family about why they should be staying home, considering ordering everything online, minimizing their exposure, 23 to 27 feet. This is a cough flume. That's significant. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? Is this something that's kind of shocking? I know it's new. I know we're going to be hearing more about it in the news coverage, but my hope, excuse me, and the allergies. I'm drinking, this is my cute little black kitty cat mug for all of you. I'm drinking my stress suppressed tea, my rhodiola and tulsi. And I added, because of yesterday's crazy pollen exposure, I added this ginger honey. It's a ginger creamed honey. I got this when we were on some trip. Oh, I got this up in Minnesota. And it's ginger, grated ginger mixed up and basically creamed with honey. Oh my gosh, it's really, really good. So just have to put that out there. All right. So let's see. Any questions? Let me know if you have any questions. Give me a thumbs up. If you feel like this is impactful or would make a difference for you, your exposure, or any of your friends and family, please give me a thumbs up and hit the share button. Share it to your Facebook feeds, your Twitter feeds. I'm really grateful because it really does help get the word out. This is a collective effort where we all have to do our part and we all have to collectively come together to support each other and make this move through our world in a minimal way, a minimal impact. And we do that by staying home, being safe, trying to educate some of our family and friends that might be not on board with these topics. So, or even this dialogue. Now, I also want to talk about the steps of also additional ways to protect yourself. So, for our friends like Anita and other folks that are exposing themselves or in a setting where they have to go shopping or deal with public, or they're in a setting where, maybe their state hasn't gone into lockdown mode and they're nervous. So the other thing you can always have on hand is the natural solutions. I found this recently. It's a Himalayan pink salt like nasal inhaler, and you literally just put this to your nose and you inhale, and oh my gosh, this is they have a lavender, so the little purple label's lavender. Then they also have the green label. This is a cooling mint. This is more of kind of gives you the menthol-y mint scent. This lavender is really relaxing. And I have one of these in the car, in the event that we go out again. I have this in the car. It's great before, you go to bed. It's great when you wake up just to kind of open up the passages. It has menthol. It has eucalyptus. It has borneol. And then this has the lavender. This has the peppermint. Very powerful. So you can use aromatherapy. Even on the masks that have, the different layer, they've got the layered insert. You can use some of the different like immune boosting or immunity blends, like the Guru Nanda immunity blend that I love and diffuse. I'm diffusing that right over here by the bunny. I don't know if you guys can see that. Oh, by the way, if you guys want to send us letters, Gabriel and I we're starting a little PenPal community. We've gotten a few more letters over there, but I put our address in the description box in YouTube. So if you guys want to send us, Gabriel is 4.5. He's my little toddler and he's homeschooling just like every other kid. He's at a private school, so they have all these trainings and teachings and Google Hangouts, and actually has a one-on-one with one of his teachers today. But we're using our letters from our friends to talk about cities and states. And so we are mapping out where everybody's from. And he is practicing his writing. So you'll get a letter back from he and I. And he's doing really well. So we sent Pat a letter. Pat, your letter's, it's in the mail. He spelled your name. And he didn't have enough room, but all by himself, the P, the A, and the T, and it looks fantastic. So I'm so proud of him. So this is really fun. It's kind of a fun. We're trying to make everything fun. And it's also a great way for us to connect with our subscribers and viewers and fans. Okay, so positive news. I also want to highlight a little bit. Seattle, they're seeing a little bit of a slowdown because of the measurements taken. And also Italy, I mean, by no means are they at zero, but they might be hitting the beginning of the peak. Yay, that's a good sign. But it's also from measurements of staying home, taking safety precautions, wearing masks. And, I know gloves are really important. But I'm going to encourage, I wear goggles and hair protection, and then making sure that you're cleaning and washing your body and doing all of the care to support the external transmission. Now let's talk about the internal fortification. So I want to talk about some antivirals. And I don't have all of them here, but I want to talk to you about them. Olive leaf is a wonderful antiviral. It is a botanical, it's in the herbal category, and olive leaf extract in conjunction with some other pathogenic dressing, immune supportive herbals. There's one that we have, it's called Oliver X, and I have it. It's actually, we still have it in stock right now in my Full Script store. So I've got that link down below. The other thing that I also want to encourage is to do nasal spray. Nasal spray is salt in a nasal, it's like a neti pot, but basically you just put this up your nose and you spray it. So I don't know if you guys can see, but that it's a nasal, it's a nasal rinse. We call it for Gabriel, it's like washing your sinuses out. It's washing your nose out. And when there are like pathogens, like for us, the pollen, that helps get rid of that, helps flush that out. It also helps minimize the mucus. Yesterday, I talked a lot about the mucus. Actually, 2 days ago, I talked about the mucus. The mucus, the congestion is pretty intense with this virus. And it mostly gets in the respiratory, lower respiratory, the bronchioles, and the lungs. So we see the lungs, we get compromised lung health in that many cases walk in, they have full-blown pneumonia. And it's viral in its orientation, but then it's a secondary condition. So the pneumonia itself, that congestion, we can address that too by making sure we're keeping our sinuses clear and minimizing any of the additional burden of congestion coming from up here. And that also will clear out postnasal drainage. And it just also helps lower the inflammation. So if you find like you're puffy, this will help minimize that. This is really good for allergies. So YouTube, I don't know what's going on. I can't see anybody's comments now. My comment box is stuck. So apologize if I'm not addressing your comments. Aviva Theory said, pretty gross. The grocery store is probably full of pathogens. You're probably right. And that's why I want to try to really minimize it. My wife's essential oil diffuser. Oh, Justin, he says, my wife's essential oil diffuser seems like a little hero now. Yes, they are. Diffusers and even humidifiers. Loving life and fitness. No one has been given masks at workplaces. There are no masks to give. People are out there doing essential jobs, delivering, working, grocery stores have to get their own if they can find them. Yes. So that is something that, I would like to be able to put out stuff for our delivery folks, because we have our morning FedEx and UPS guy. We have our Amazon crew. There's an assortment of them, but like they all come at the same time. So I've actually ordered a whole bunch of extras. And I don't know if you guys saw the Some Good News network that John, what is his name? The guy from The Office. He started on YouTube. He posted a video on the 29th, and Whitney had sent me that video. It's awesome. It's all about good news of stuff happening. And then he had a little girl, a teenager who had finished her cancer fight and like was done with it. And she came home to a parade of cars, all distanced, and people, in the windows and like out of the sun roofs, yelling and clapping. Like, it gives me chills. So he has that network, and it's really exciting because that's a positive source. So, what I want to do, he also posted a video of a guy who, for his delivery folks, he had things of toilet paper and things of hand sanitizers. So we're going to put out a little snack box, and then we're also going to put out, when I get some of these masks, because if I protect them, we're not just protecting ourselves, but we're protecting everybody else in our neighborhood. So that's our individual plan. But I want to put that out there. So, make sure you're taking care of people in your sphere, family members, your community, check on your neighbors, especially in this time. I think we all sometimes have a hard time asking for help. So don't assume people will ask, just ask and see, and just do, just help them out. Okay. So I want to share two other things, before we conclude our day. The other thing with sinus congestion, many of you guys are familiar with my, that's almost, this is the level 4 cream. This is the herbal botanical that, I don't know if you can see this on YouTube, on Instagram. It's this yellow cream, and it basically, it is a fantastic nasal opener. So I just smear it on my neck, on the chest, the back of the neck. You can also do like a little dot right there, but it's got menthol, camphor. It has a really good herbal botanical that's topical, that infuses to cut pain and to reduce stress. On the neck, it'll actually minimize stress by integrating the herbal botanical, 3-letter word, herbal botanical. I'm not able to mention here on YouTube, but it's very powerful. So I'm going to include a link where you can grab that in. I have a lot of these here. I brought them home from the clinic and I'm shipping those out. So that is great for chest congestion. So you could coat the whole entire bronchioles, the side of your lungs, the back. I'm posting a video this week, probably tomorrow, because I didn't get a chance to get Brian to be my model. But I'm going to show what I showed on Sunday's live show, the lung draining. So I'm going to show you kind of the steps of doing the lung draining, and then adding this to it can actually really break up congestion. And that will be really impactful for anybody who is at home recovering. And so I think that will be powerful. So do consider that. And then also, one of my other favorite herbals is Astragalus. Astragalus is a powerful antiviral, and it's powerful for anybody who has autoimmunity. So now I just really want to get you the impactful cellular immune regulating and immune modulating that will help your body's natural immune response address a viral invasion unlike any it's ever been exposed to. And that's what we're dealing with. So masks, eyewear, the masks I wear, the hair protection, gloves. And I also am going to do a specific video for my lymphedema patients that are dealing with needing to wear compression, but finding it hard to balance compression and hand washing. So I have a whole video on that. But yeah, so that's the topic I wanted to cover. I think this particular article, again, that's linked, and DM me, friends, if on Instagram if you want this. Oh, and the other thing I have to make sure I mention, do you guys remember the docuseries that I was interviewed for in June called Pain Revealed? And then they had wine revealed, they had money revealed, and then most recently they did their supplements revealed line. They have, I don't even know how they've done this so fast, but like myself, they've been inspired to help people. They put together Crisis Investing 2020. And so if you are kind of asking, you and your spouse or your partner, or just you are asking like, okay, the market's all over the road, and how do I weather this financial storm? How do I position ourselves so that we don't have such a huge loss in retirement? And, how do we protect ourselves? And maybe even, are there industries to invest in that we could offset? So he's interviewed Jeff Hayes, the film producer, and Patrick. They have done Skype and Zoom interviews with a lot of the people they interviewed for Money Revealed. So it's all free. You can, there's a link in the description box, YouTube, because I know, I polled everybody on both Instagram and YouTube, and the big concern, 60% are concerned about their financial state, and financial health transitions and translates to your physical and mental health. And that can manifest if you're feeling concerned about your financial health, that can impact your health status. And at this point, we need to lower every risk factor. We need to lower all of our stress levels. We need to be sleeping well, eating as healthy as we can, hydrating well, taking all of the healthy micronutrients and herbals, botanicals, our enzymes, and even homeopathics to support our body. But we also need to assess, how can we weather this? So that, I put that out there. There's a link in the description where you can grab that. It's totally free to register. The pre-registration's going up until the 7th of April. That's when so you actually want to get registered now, and then you'll get an email. So you'll get in, and then on the 7th, they release episode 1. And I think there's 9 episodes. But I'm really excited because there's some folks that you're going to recognize as leaders in the financial investing and financial world. And as well as, how, as a small business owner, what do we do in this time? Because everything's changing. So friends, thank you for joining me today. Again, if you like this, please give me a thumbs up. I'd love to see our thumbs up on YouTube at 100. I'm grateful for that. Please hit the share button as well. And then On the Instagram, there's a replay on the live for 24 hours. But if you feel like, oh my gosh, I want to see more, YouTube, this is housed permanently, so you can watch that. But again, friends, I'm grateful for your time today. I hope you will continue to tune in tomorrow. You know, I sometimes plan our topics based on what news might be coming out. And this, I think, is, again, this is one of those, the surface life. This is even more impactful. This plume, this gas plume of viral pathogenic footage, 23 to 27 feet. It's craziness. So anyway, friends, I hope you, I actually have to tell you, they labeled this multi-phase turbulent gas cloud from a human sneeze. So that's a sneeze. That's what it looks like, 27 feet. Who would think? Nobody would know. All right. So thanks, friends, for tuning in. Tune in tomorrow, 9 a.m., same time. And I actually have a free antiviral checklist. If you guys haven't grabbed that, I've got that in the description box below. Instagram, DM me, and I'll send you all these links. And just watch for the stories. All right, friends, I'll see you later. All right. So Instagram is going away. Let's see. I'm going to save that. All right, YouTube, thank you again. I don't know what happened with my chat box. Hopefully you guys, I'll go back and watch all the chats after the fact, but I'm so grateful for your time. And, I just really, my motivation here and my MO and why I do this is to really help you and your families. I know somebody brought up, politics. I'm not a political channel, but again, I'm going to highlight things that we need to be conscious of and aware of. And I think there is a lot of information that's not being completely 100% told based on how you might consume your news. But the reality is we can't get away from truth and we can't get away from data. And studies like this, I think, will, if we listen to it, have life-changing positive impact on lowering our risk factors, lowering our transmission of this very dangerous virus. All right, friends. So anyway, that's my little soapbox. But if I lose subscribers, I lose subscribers, and that's not why I do this. So, but anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Be well, and I hope you guys will send us a letter. I'd love to see your letters in the mail. Bye, friends. Have a great day. Be safe. Be well. Don't forget, I'll include some more links to the masks and as I wrap this up. Bye.